This is Cal and Diggs of ReachingTheFinishLine.com, helping you to reach the finish line. And in the previous video, I talked about a Washington Post article regarding kind of the socially acceptance and moral obligation of having kids, and how people should reconsider, as it can be a hindrance of them reaching their finish line. In this video, I want to stay on this topic, but look at it from a different lens. There was a recent article by Newsweek, less than about 6 months ago, and the headline is "Americans aren't having children, and it might help the economy." I was very interested in this. The article got me very interested because it definitely highlights a lot of truths to it. And just kind of summarizing the article a bit, Americans are having fewer children, and it might be a good thing for the economy. Now, there was a study done by a nonprofit called Negative Population Growth, Inc. And they found that between 2007, which was the year before the Great Recession, and 2016, recently before Trump got inaugurated, the number of U.S. births dropped by 338,000, or 8.7%. And actually, if we look at that, if we look at the times we live in, that's not such a bad thing that people are deciding to have less kids. Now, it can be twofold. People can say, are they deciding not to have kids by choice, or are they deciding not to have kids, or are they not having kids because it's their personal choice, or are they not having kids because they can't, because maybe they're infertility problems. Now, there is some conclusive evidence that there are certain types of additives in the food, as well as genetic modification. There are some variables as far as how food processed that can negatively affect fertility. So, not taking away from that. The study does not say whether it's because of their personal choice or that they simply can't. But the end result is that they're not. More Americans are having fewer children. Nevertheless, when you look at our economy, when you look at that, a lot of millennials, even Gen Xers, have thousands upon thousands of dollars in student loan debt. The student loan debt crisis is over $1.5 trillion. When you also consider that job prospects are unstable, so there's the argument that, ever since Trump was in office, the economy has improved, the unemployment rate has decreased. Again, I never recommend that people adhere to official government statistics, because they're always skewed. They're skewed to make a favorable impression of the country. There's many cities and towns across the country that are still suffering. They have unstable economies, that they haven't risen from this previous recession that we had. And see, also the trick is, if they tell people that the economy is almost like predictive programming. If they tell people that the economy is doing better, then many people embrace that idea, and more people spend money. And anytime more people are spending money, the economy, in a sense, maintains, if not grows. Of course, there are some factors regarding as far as jobs. People need a job to be able to spend money, but I think the other factor to it as well is that, yeah, you know, people can have a job, but it's whether they're encouraged or discouraged to spend money. And if the news is always telling people that the economy is improving, is better, is great, unemployment rate is lower, then people are going to spend more money. Not saying everybody, but the majority of people are going to spend money. If you're a minimalist like myself, then you're not. Regardless of the economy, you are adhering to a certain budget, and you're adhering to a certain budget to maximize your savings, to live essentially a higher quality of life. And that's a whole nother series of videos. But nevertheless, in a world where, as it says in the article, where robots and AI and other technologies is going to be the future, is going to eventually take over the jobs of many Americans, it's actually in many Americans' best interest not to have kids, because their parents might actually be out of a job. It's just these technologies like self-driving cars. Just imagine, once that comes to fruition, and once it's actually deemed safe, and once actually driverless cars becomes as safe as a human driving a car, just imagine all of the driver jobs that will be lost. Okay, you have tractor trailers. You have, those big CDLA trucker jobs. You have bus drivers. Whether it's whether it's a private corporate companies like Greyhound, that's national, or whether you have even regional bus companies, or even your local city bus company. And then you have school buses. They'll be out of a job too. So that is, hundreds of thousands of jobs, if not more, that will be lost due to robotics and AI technology. So the fact that more people are having less kids, that actually makes their it makes their economic situation better, because they will have less expenses. Going on into the article, it also states that the fact that people who have less kids, they can invest more in a child's education, which means that instead of public school, which may be average or if not okay, they can afford to put their kids in private school. So basically, the fact that parents with small families, I'll better yet say, parents with small families, by not having more kids, they can put their kids in private school as opposed to public school to give them a better education. That's for the parents who already have, maybe let's say at least one child. And it kind of, as this article ends, is that my generation, the millennials, we're likely to have fewer children. We're likely to rent than buy a home. But we often owe large amounts of student loan debt. So when you consider these variables, it's in not only a millennial, but it's in many people's best interest, not to have kids, because the obviously when you have kids, it can constrict your disposable income. You don't have as much money as you would like, as opposed to you don't have kids, you have this, no doubt about it, you have this huge reserve of money that you can spend as you wish. There was a study that said something about raising a kid costs a little over $1 million. Just imagine if you can keep that $1 million rather than having to spend it due to maybe a choice that unfortunately you have regretted, whether it's due to unplanned pregnancy or due to simply peer pressure from your friends or your relatives. So I hope this video was helpful, but the whole point of this is to show that not only having kids, not only not having kids can help the economy, but it can help specifically your personal financial situation. You know, of course, you know, we all pay taxes, and you know, as you know, your money is going to support someone who made bad mistakes. That's the fact of the matter is, you're paying taxes, and maybe someone was irresponsible. They decide to have 5, 6 kids, and they can't take care of them. Your money is supporting those people. You know, whether you like it or not, whether you're okay with it or not, you know, that's your dilemma. But the fact of the matter is, you don't have to add on to the problem, okay? And finally, I'll say, by you making that personal decision, you increase the likelihood of maximizing the quality of your life, which becomes very difficult if you have kids. And the more you have, the more difficult it becomes. So just keep that in mind. Not dissuading parenthood, just saying that this article, you know, this Newsweek article presented a lot of truth of the other side, you know, of the view. So hope that was helpful. I am making a video like every other day. If you want to get the next video at a moment's notice, be sure to subscribe, that little red button below. If you like it, hey, be sure to like it and also share it with your friends. And it's my intention for you to reach the finish line. And I have an email newsletter where I go deeper. You can start by going to reachingthefinishline.com. And until next time, I'll be reaching your finish line.